Right, this is an analysis of Elegy for My Father Who Is Not Dead by Andrew Hudgens. This is going to be your first CTE assignment on your own. We went through, in this module, we went through how to do a CTE, and we used The Flowers by Alice Walker as kind of our sample text, and I walked you through how to annotate it and how to talk about it, talk to the text about it, and then I gave you a sample CTE where I answered a prompt, a question. And so this is going to be the first one that you're going to do on your own. And this will actually kind of help prepare you for the first essay that you're going to be writing, because you are going to be writing about the authors of Attitudes Towards Death and 2 poems that you're going to be reading in that first unit. So this is actually really good preparation and timely preparation for that first essay. So I want to kind of take some time today just really quickly and go through this poem for you and talk about some things that I found in this poem. And remember, we talked about You Fit Into Me by Margaret Atwood, that literature is very subjective, and what you get from it is not necessarily what I get from it or what your neighbor gets from it. Like we all put in our own schema and our own beliefs and attitudes into things when we're reading and analyzing literature. So again, it's not if you a right or wrong kind of thing. It's like how you feel and you believe, but you're not saying it as I believe. You're showing us through an analysis of the text that this is what you believe without saying I believe this or that. So the poem itself is very short. You'll notice we're looking at like 21, 22 lines altogether. There's a lot to unpack here. So let's read and then we'll kind of like talk about the poem. So, Elegy for My Father Who Is Not Dead. One day I'll lift the telephone and be told my father's dead. He's ready. In the sureness of his fate, he talks about the world beyond this world as though his reservations have been made. I think he wants to go a little bit, a new desire to travel building up, an itch to see fresh worlds or older ones. He thinks that when I follow him, he'll wrap me in his arms and laugh the way he did when I arrived on earth. I do not think he's right. He's ready. I am not. I can't just say goodbye as cheerfully as if he were embarking on a trip to make my later trip go well. I see myself on deck, convinced his ship's gone down. While he's convinced, I'll see him standing on the dock and waving, shouting, "Welcome back." So, first of all, this poem is an elegy. An elegy is a lyric poem that's written to commemorate someone who is dead, or a serious, more kind of meditative poem that expresses a speaker's melancholy thoughts. They're generally sad, mournful, probably is a better word, and they're typically related to death. So what we have here is pretty simple. Hudgens' father is dying. He is close to death. He doesn't have much longer left. And Hudgens is aware of that. He's aware that his time is very fleeting with his father. And this is kind of him expressing his feelings towards that concept that he's not going to have much time left with him. And it really contrasts the two attitudes that they have towards death. So Dad is ready. It says he's ready. In the sureness of his faith, he talks about the world beyond this world as though his reservations have been made. Dad is a believer. Dad believes, and it doesn't really express what type of religion, that we're talking about here, but he believes that there's a world beyond this world. He has faith. He has a belief in something beyond death. And so that's how he's approaching this whole death thing is, death is temporary. Outside of death, I'm going to live again. I'm going to go exploring. He has a desire to travel, an itch to see fresh worlds or older ones. And he also sees death as a temporary kind of separation. He says he thinks that when I follow him, he'll wrap me in his arms and laugh the way he did when I arrived on earth. So Dad is viewing this death in a very positive light. He's not sad. He's ready. It says that multiple times in the poem. He's ready to go. He has strong faith. He believes that it's not an end, that it's an opening to a new chapter in his life. He'll continue to live on, that it's an adventure. He's going to see new worlds, or older ones, and that they're going to be reunited again one day. Hudgens doesn't feel that way. And we can see that through his expression, in the words that he chooses. He says, I do not think he's right. He's ready. I am not. I can't just say goodbye as cheerfully as if he were embarking on a trip to make my later trip go well. I see myself on deck, convinced his ship's gone down. While he's convinced, I'll see him standing on the dock and waving, shouting, welcome back. It's possible that he's a non-believer, that he doesn't believe in something that's outside of death. Maybe he just has hesitations on kind of what he believes in, on being outside of death. Maybe he doubts that they will be able, and maybe he does believe, but he doubts that they'll never see each other again. They might not be able to meet up in the next life. Whatever the case may be, he's articulating that emotion, well, multiple emotions really, as he is discussing here in the poem. He has some fear. He has some jealousy that his father is so cheerful and good-natured about what's happening. Like, why do you not feel sadness? Why do you not feel grief? Why do you not feel remorse? Like, why are you not feeling these emotions that I'm feeling? How are you so freaking happy about this process? And he also feels some uncertainty. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He sees it very differently than his father does. And he also feels some remorse, like, a little bit of guilt, a little bit of remorse from that he's feeling the way that he's feeling when his father wants him to be happy and that he's going to see him again. And so he's just trying to deal the best he can with something so life-altering, while confronting, being respectful to his father and trying to respect his views and his beliefs, at the same time while confronting his own beliefs and his own convictions. So he's just doing the best that he can, trying to struggle, trying to understand. So while we have Father here who's ready, who believes that death is an adventure, who believes that death is just a temporary separation, you have Son who is not, who believes in this is an eternal separation, that he's never going to see his father again, that his ship has gone down, he'll never lay eyes on him again. So he's unable to say goodbye cheerfully like his father wants him to do. And so we see here that struggle for him to express his emotions. When you get ready to cite your poetry, I just kind of wanted to point out, because I know this is not something that you've done, and you'll see in a screencast about citing different things. I just wanted to point out that when we cite poetry, we cite by the line number, because sometimes poems are really short and they all end up being on the same page. So this particular one's not a really good example of that because it does run over onto another page. But if it were on one page, it would be just a one-page document because it's a very short poem. But we cite poems by their line number. And so if you'll notice here that you have your line numbers outside of outside the lines here. It'll tell you the lines. When you're citing poetry, you're going to use that line number. Now, when you do your overall citation, which I'm going to show you how to do, like in your in the screencast on citing sources, you will use the page numbers that you found the poem on. But for the purposes of in-text citations, like you see in that example CTE that I gave you, you will use line numbers only. Okay.